Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! What's that? You maybe perhaps have not seen the trailer from my channel yet? Well, let's do that and then we can dive into some fun stuff. Here you go first. That was good stuff. I don't care who you are. That's good stuff right there. Welcome, everybody. Great to have you here. I thought it'd be fun to maybe just kind of have, like, a chill stream, right? Where we're able to, relax, have a good time, chill, all that good stuff. I thought it might be kind of cool to be able to talk about, well, not necessarily me. I know. That's something that a lot of people would enjoy. I know. But more importantly, I thought it might be fun to have a conversation with the chat, with you all. I'll tell you what, that's something that I think would be very cool to do and make sure that we have rock and roll and a good community, right? Because that's what I say. I'm trying to do a community that I think is pretty important to build up, right? So I think that's kind of cool to do. I don't have the sounds on, so I'm adding those really quickly. I notice it's an oversight on my stream here. So sounds are now operational on this page. Good. All right. So very cool. Very, very, very cool. And what this can grow into, I don't have any idea, right? Like what this could be, because it's live, right? And this is going to go on YouTube. Welcome to everybody watching this on replay and on YouTube. But it can grow, and you can take. We talk in parties or whatever and have good discussions and maybe kind of make it a podcast kind of thing. It's under the just chatting, right? Not necessarily a gaming environment here. So I think it's kind of cool. I think it won't be boring. I think that we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. I won't come on and twiddle my thumbs and be like, well, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I think it's something that could be really kind of community building. Thanks to Chuck the Ape for convincing me to get Discord. Oh, Chuck, what would I do without you? Badgering me and beating me over the head, bludgeoning me, really. Nose bloodied, mouth, teeth missing. Get Discord, Ace, get Discord. And here I go. I finally got Discord. And you're right. It's a great way to connect. I'm already doing that with other streamers and other people. And it doesn't suck. It's just a little bit of a learning curve. Not too bad. I've already kind of grown it. So if I'm going to type in Discord, I think it should work so people can check it out at this point. Bada boom, stream element. So I've, just making it a place where we can all hang out and have a good time. So what's your favorite game? What's your favorite movie? I figured since most of the people that I roll with, are gamers, that might be a good question. So let's maybe kind of go into that at this time. So I see Shunts thank you for being here, by the way, Shunts, has gone ahead and said that, what is it? Walking Home with Pizza is your favorite game of all time? That's interesting. I don't know about that one. Walking Home, I'm kidding. Your favorite game is Zelda Ocarina of Time, hands down. Okay, so is Zelda Ocarina of Time, is that the one with the water temple? Is that the one with the water temple? Because I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the Zelda with that one. And there's a little bit of latency between when I read it and when I talk to you. Because I remember playing, if it is the one with the water temple, I do recall quitting Zelda at that time. I'm like, you know what? Yep. All right. So the answer is yes. Yeah, I was like, if Zelda is at a point where I'm stumped and it's this hard. maybe gaming isn't for me in my young adolescent age. I was like, forget about it. So, Shunts, tell us, why is it that you enjoy why is it your favorite game? What about Zelda Ocarina of Time do you enjoy so much? And while you're typing, I'll vamp a little here and just say that I really enjoyed the graphics. I think there was Nintendo 64. That was a lot of fun to play that on. It was at the time, good graphics, kind of rivaled some other PC graphics actually, even though it was console. But it had the Nintendo port of it, right? The Nintendo graphics, the cuteness, that sort of thing, which I think was pretty rad. So Shunts, while you were typing in your answer, Chuck, GoldenEye. Okay, you're not wrong. So GoldenEye, right? What begin typing, Chuck. What is it you love about GoldenEye? While you all are busy typing and engaging here, I'm going to keep it rolling with why I love GoldenEye. First of all, I remember it was a Saturday morning. I was loading in, right? I was loading in GoldenEye. I rented it, and I remember being blown away because actors' faces were actually scanned on the characters. That was amazing. That had never been done before. You look back now, and it's they look like Lego blocks, right? This is a huge block for head, but the scanned face on it. But the faces were scanned on, which was totally rad, right? And then you also had, the guns, the smoothness of it. Not to mention the multiplayer. Lots of things to unlock. One of the things that I enjoyed about GoldenEye a lot, right, was unlocking the different things, getting the codes, and the internet was kind of a thing, but kind of not a thing, right? And lots of fun stuff to unlock, like the Golden Gun, Mayday, Odd Job, and in multiplayer, right, trying to run around and not look at the other screens. I had 4 controllers with 4 other people, right, or 4 of us together. I remember in college we were playing GoldenEye. And it was hard not to stream snipe, I guess we would call it now. But look over, they're about to go around the corner and they get a rocket to the face, right? But a lot of great levels and things to that. Followed the movie. Okay, so Chuck says, I loved it. Was the first proper FPS multiplayer for me. First proper multiplayer. Paintball mode? Oh, yes, paintball mode. Oh, that was fantastic. Yes, the Golden Gun. There's so many great things about that. So, okay, I have a question for you then. So you said I loved it, was the first proper first-person multiplayer. So what made it proper? Why was that? And why wasn't it Doom? Or why wasn't it Unreal? Was Unreal out at the time? Or Wolfenstein? Like, I don't know if Wolfenstein was multiplayer, was it? I know Doom was, right? So what, I'm interested to know, because that wasn't online, right? It was only on the console. So that's just, I never got into any of those games. So it's basically, what you're saying to me is, it was basically like you saw, that was the first thing you saw, right? That was the first thing that you got into and were like, this is good. Yeah. I get that 100% because it was really all the rage. I mean, if anybody owned a Nintendo 64, right, they definitely had GoldenEye. And I think back to all the games that ever came out for N64, that might have to be the best. Take the console to your friends. Yes. Oh my goodness. And that brings up another topic. Maybe we can hit on it in a bit when the Xbox came out, because I made the jump from N64 to Xbox when Microsoft threw their hat in the ring, right? And they, there was, I can't remember, it was Xbox Connect. Live was not out yet, but there was a way to jerry-rig through a website to connect people to play Halo, which I think is pretty fun. But yeah, I remember when in GoldenEye, when you jumped off the dam, that was just back, you just didn't see anything like that back in the day. The story, everything about it was just fantastic. The frame rate, the pace, the guns, remember the guns? You go to reload, the guns would dip down and then back up and be reloaded. having to buy multiple controllers, each costing 70 quid each. Were they that much? No, they weren't that much. Were they? I don't remember. That would have been around 80 bucks for us, probably. I don't think controllers in the US were that expensive. And 64 probably would have been 50 bucks. You know, maybe if you're talking rumble packs, right? Because rumble packs you had to buy. That's another thing, right? Buying the rumble packs and hooking it on the bottom and making it a whole thing, where now it's just all built in and assumed. But that's crazy. Yeah, rumble packs. Do you remember the first game that you ever played with a rumble pack on? I want to say mine was maybe a wrestling game. I think, or it would have been GoldenEye, maybe GoldenEye. But it was a completely different experience with the rumble packs on, which I think is really rad, right? Like, that's pretty doggone cool. That is pretty doggone cool. So let's. I'm just doing a mic check here, and I'm also listening to the background music, just trying to, check things out, right? I want to see how the production's going so far. It's a little tough to tell not being on PC. So I hope everything is going well so far. Trying to make sure I worked hard on all the overlays that you're going to see tonight, kind of making the templates a little more mine, which I think is kind of fun. So great, glad to hear it. I changed the mic to a streamer setting instead of a tournament setting. I didn't realize that was even a thing. So glad to hear it. So, okay. I'm trying to think. So do you remember, did you ever have an Xbox, the original Xbox, when you could jerry-rig before Live came out, you would connect on your PC to a website that was, and you'd hook your computer up to your Xbox, obviously, with a LAN, and you would basically hook into Halo, right? You'd get into Halo matches. Does anybody remember that at all? Because that's something that I recall doing. I was at my friend's house, and it was amazing, because you're like, oh man, this is like as good as PC, but now I don't have to worry about blah 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 blah. I have my controller and blah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, if I googled it, I'm sure I could bring it up, no problemo, right? That was just one of those websites where it was very cool to do. So, and then when Live came out, right? Like, nobody used that darn thing at all. And why would they? There's no reason to. There's no reason to use a website like that. And then over the years, it's just gotten better and better and better. So Smithy, still waiting on your recollection of what made Ocarina of Time your favorite game. Why is it such a good game? Why does it have such a special place in your heart? While I'm waiting on you to respond, my favorite Zelda game is Link to the Past. Well, is it the original? Now I'm going to have a think. Oh, man. Because I remember getting the very first Zelda game, and it was gold, and putting it in the NES. Oh, that was great. I'm trying to remember. Oh, man. Do I go with nostalgia, or do I go with like the actual game that I felt was the best? That's the hard part about this discussion, right? Is what's nostalgia, and what's, like, do you go with your heart? Do you go with your head? Right? Because I could say Sea of Thieves, but in the gambit of everything, going back, I would probably say other games. So, when did you begin to play on Xbox, Chuck? When was that a thing? When did you begin to play on Xbox? I began to play on Xbox just as soon as it came out. Again, I'm kind of vamping your waiting. There's a little bit of latency. But as soon as it came out, I was in Xbox. Sea of Thieves will be up when you can play on private servers. Inside joke alert. Inside joke alert. But I remember, Live, and my gamer tag is original, right? There's no numbers after my gamer tag. My gamer tag is Ace Space T, and I really wanted Ace, because when I play in arcades, I'd just do Ace. But that was taken. Someone got it. I think I was 2 months into Live, and somebody had already taken that one. But, it's certainly gone from there. I want to say it's about 20 years since I'll have had Live here shortly. transition to Xbox the year it was released. Okay. What title made you want to go to Xbox? What was the game that you're like, oh man? Was it Halo? I know for most people it's Halo. For me, but I know that it was very popular. Okay, so play at PlayStation. Sega Saturn. My friend had a Sega Saturn, and he even had the CD. Oh man, that thing was a hunk of just add-ons. It's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig. Honestly, it just was not an elegant system. Oh. The Dreamcast. Okay, but what was on Xbox? What was the game that you're like, or on any of these systems, right? What were some of the games you enjoyed on Dreamcast or Sega Saturn? Yeah, the controllers are not great. What? My friend on Dreamcast. What was it? Something Taxi. Was it a game? Terrible Taxi. What was Midtown Madness about? What happened in that game? Crazy Taxi, that's right. Oh, that's so right. Yes. Okay. Was it a realistic racing game, or was it... Sounds like Midtown, like driving through, New York, Manhattan, and things getting kind of crazy. A lot of forgiveness, you'd hit stuff and you'd be okay, kind of thing. Not like your truck sim. Arcade Racer. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, the Crazy Taxi, I remember my friend loved that game. And I remember he had the first WWF game. I think he was still WWF at the time. WWF game, and I remember it was on the Dreamcast, and it was amazing because we're like, you can see it wasn't like just red for ropes, but you could see like the texture in the ropes. We're like, oh my gosh, the texture in the ropes. That was amazing. Like, graphics are really coming along. simple times, or for that to really make it a thing. And then I remember for N64, one of my favorite games was WrestleMania 2000. I don't know how big wrestling is in the UK, or was back in the day. That was like the Attitude Era with The Rock, Stone Cold, the Click, Shawn Michaels, like the whole thing, right? Triple H, that was a whole thing. And WrestleMania 2000 was the first time you played a wrestling game and you saw fans. Now you look back and they're like cardboard cutouts, slant things, but like you're looking around the inside of the arena, right? And you're just like, oh my gosh, there's fans, and you can custom build your wrestler. And the wrestler that I made did nothing but just enormous power bombs, just power moves. And I remember I would have real bad days and just go on that thing and beat the crap out of people. Oh, that was fun. A little too satisfying. Yeah, okay. Project Gotham Racing was the main reason I wanted an Xbox, though. Okay, so let me ask you this. What about Project Gotham Racing was the main reason? Was it the graphics? Was it the gameplay? Was it the first time it really felt like a good... I don't think Gran Turismo had come out at that point, right? So Project Gotham Racing, I remember that was a big thing back in the day. You were able to really kind of flex your muscle, right? Doing that kind of thing, which is a lot of fun. And now these days, right, you have like the Crew, you have Gran Turismo, you've got... I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the one that's out now. I'm not a big racer guy, but a lot of the games were developed in Liverpool. Okay, so for everybody that doesn't know, Chuck the Ape lives in Liverpool. So he's like, represent, fist bump. Very cool. That's interesting that there's so many race games that were developed in Liverpool. I wonder why that is. Is there something about Liverpool? Does it have, maybe, again, this is an American talking to a UK guy, but what about the UK that you're in Liverpool that is so big about racing? Why is there such a love for it, or at least video game wise? Why is it such a thing? Help me to understand. Interested to know here. Tell you what, because we know that you all love soccer, but other than that, Bizarre Creations were the developers who made Project Gotham Racing. Okay, I get that. There's a car game where it's basically you could do flips and stuff. It was essentially, it was not a realistic game, but it would be like a kind of arena and you'd do flips and go up walls, and it was like a skate ramp kind of thing, but you're using a car. I really liked that game. I can't remember the name of it. Even if someone was to tell me the name of the car game, I would not know. But I remember that was a hoot, man. That was so much fun. So, Shunts, if you're there, I'd still like to hear why Ocarina of Time. Rocket League. Yeah, no, Rocket League's like soccer. Sorry, English football. And boy, that community, from what I understand, Rocket League's, you want to talk about like toxic communities. Fans come out of there left and right, which is bananas. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Too, with death. Well played, sir. Well played. I don't really play Rocket League. I tried it. My friend got me into it, right? Does anybody else here play Rocket League? But also, I'd like to welcome everybody else in the chat. What I'm doing is we're just talking about favorite games right now. We haven't even moved on to movies, but if you have a favorite movie that you'd like to talk about, maybe it's a Marvel movie, maybe it's a DC, maybe it's why Marvel is better than DC, or why DC is better than Marvel, or maybe it's a TV show. So I'm trying to make this chat not necessarily about me, but talking to you all, right? We're just chatting, having a good time. Ollie's hopefully having a good time, so feel free to lurk or jump in. Would love to have you to jump in and say hey. If that's the case, if you're having fun and are not following, please go ahead and give a follow. Would love to have you on board. Normally I play games. This is the very first time I've ever done like a just chatting. And I did all the templates today, the overlays today, and hopefully this is something that once a week. I don't know what it is, but can turn into something where we all kind of gather around and chat. Air horn, thanks for that. Very nice. All right, thank you for that, Shunts. That was good to go. So now that we know Shunts is back. So Shunts, why is it that that is not the best film ever? Shunts, why do you like Ocarina of Time? You said it was your favorite. Why? We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know, my friend. What makes it good? What makes it great? I think you might have missed why I liked it. And then I hemmed and hawed about my favorite Zelda. But I'm interested for you to know. You'll also notice that you all are VIPs now in the Ace Lounge, right? You guys are VIP, nothing but Crystal in the chat there for you all, for sure, 100%. So now I guess we can move on to, since I've already actually, I don't think I've talked about my favorite game. So while hopefully Shunts is talking a little bit and getting things going there, my favorite game of all time is hard, because I think back to the Nintendo Entertainment. Actually, Atari 2600, and then Atari. Was it 5200? I can't remember off the top of my head now. Then you had the Nintendo, and then you had Super NES, and then you had Nintendo 64, Xbox 360, the One, right? You want Dom Perignon coming up, sir. Coming up. No doubt about it. Just sit right there. It's coming. Oh, Jeeves, will you please make sure that my good friend Chuck gets the Commodore 64? I never had the Commodore 64. Did you have the Commodore? If so, what were the games on that? Because I don't know. And I also know that Atari made another stab at a console in mid-90s sometime. The Jaguar. That's right. You had a 3DO. Man, all these systems that made it. But the ones that I owned were basically Atari and then Nintendo and then Xbox. That kind of progression. But if I had to think, say, like, what's my favorite game? The nostalgia in me wants me to say something like GoldenEye, Paperboy, Oh, that's a lot of redoing levels for me. But Shunts, again, trying to find out why Ocarina of Time is the best game. Why is it your favorite game? We want to know. You're making us work for it, Shunts. You're making us work for it, man. Why is it your favorite game? We want to know. So while you're typing, hopefully the answer to this question. But yeah, Paperboy, I remember there's Paperboy and Paperboy 2. And they looked remarkably the same. It's like, why is there even a second one? I don't understand. Why would they make a second one? It's like wiping before you poop, man. It just doesn't make any sense. Not at all. No way. No how. Oh my goodness. It just... And then I remember some of the worst games I can think of. Let's see. I did on Atari. I played E.T., the extraterrestrial, the legit worst video game of all time. It was hellaciously bad. I was the demographic for it. I got it. And if you've not ever seen the documentary on Netflix, I highly recommend that, because that is just... that was a stinker. And the guy even made it's like, yeah, it's a stinker. In 6 weeks, I did what I could. And so it's just kind of acknowledged, right? But then Back to the Future for Nintendo. Horrible game. I don't know if anybody ever played Back to the Future. That was awful. Let's see, what else? What else was a really, really bad game? Well, on this, let's flip it. Really good game. And for whatever reason, Twitch will not allow me to stream it off my console. I don't have a capture card. I want Contra. I want to stream Contra so bad. All right, let's see who are OG gangster gamers in the chat right now. What is the code for 30 lives in Contra? I want to know who's original gangster in here. And it's on 360 compatible. If you have an Xbox One or an Xbox 360, you can digitally buy Contra. I played it the other month. It was great. What is the original code for 30 lives so you can beat Contra? Who in the chat knows? Who in the chat knows? What do you got? What do you got? I'll do the Jeopardy music. You ready? Here we go. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Now, why isn't this a sound thing? That would be great if it was a sound thing. That'd make life easy for me, honestly. You never played Contra? Wow. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go into my settings here. I'm gonna find the. Okay. So. Okay, hold on. I'm doing it for you. And then, let's see here. Now the B, the last B was for multiplayer. It was just BA start if you just had it for yourself. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BAB start. That's the original. That is 100% the original. Never played Contra, my friend. Oh, that is goodiness. But then the Nintendo Entertainment System, also had the gun, right? It had the gun. It had, what else? There's a lot of attachments. But that was something that was a lot of fun. Khajiit. Sorry, I think I missed Cal. I'm just going to call you Cal. No español. No hablo español. Lo siento, but welcome to the stream. Thank you for saying hello. It is great to have you here. It is great to have you here. Sorry. Maybe there's like a Google Translate. I don't But the gun, right? Duck Hunt. That was a great game because you're able to put the gun basically up to the TV and kill every time, which is a lot of fun. Which is a hoot. We have all these peripherals now. Who here did anybody besides me Nintendo 64 and have the Super Scope 6? It was the. I feel like an idiot saying this. This is how hardcore a gamer I am. The Super Scope 6. Who ever had that? It was a bazooka that you play. It's a good 2-3 games that you could use it on. The Super Scope 6. Come on. Come on. Somebody had Super... Nobody? So what was great about it was you would fire missiles, you'd look through the scope, and it was an attachment with the Nintendo 64. I can't remember the name of the game, but a lot of hours sunk into that thing, a lot of batteries too, which was great. It was for the... Did I say Nintendo 64? I misspoke. You're correct. That was for the Super Nintendo. You're absolutely... Shunts. Keep me honest over here. Absolutely. So the Super Scope 6 was for the SNES. Absolutely. You're 100% right. So, a lot of hours on that thing. Welcome everybody that's new in the chat. We're just talking about games. What are your favorite games? We may move on to shows or movies, but I'm trying to make this more about you than me. I had the Mega Blaster for Sega Mega Drive. What was the Mega Blaster? What did that do? I don't remember. Chat, what was the Mega Blaster? Too bad you can't post pictures in here. We're gonna have to, like, in Discord, harmless or shameless plug. We're gonna have to go ahead and post pictures of all this stuff that we're chatting about, like the Super Scope 6 and the Mega Blaster. All this in Discord. Everybody, you're welcome to check out the server. Trying to build a community of a lot of fun. Gamers, passionate, having a lot of fun. What was the Mega Blaster? Cal, thank you for asking if I'd like to learn Spanish. I do have Rosetta. I'm just too lazy at this moment to learn it. Thank you, though. Basically, Sega's version of a gun. What did it look like? Was it like a 6-shooter kind of gun? Was it a more like the gun that Nintendo had for Duck Hunt? What did it look like? Did they go for a futuristic look on the gun? How many rounds did it usually allow you to shoot, right? Like, was it a 6-shooter kind of thing? Did it have a magazine where you'd have more bullets you'd be able to shoot? I know for the gun on the Nintendo, you would point it at the ground, pull the trigger, and that would reload it. I think that's how it did it anyways. So... I just am trying to think. Because there was... I want to say that all that stuff kind of went away, right? So you had the Nintendo 64, and then I transitioned to the Xbox. And then from the Xbox, I moved to the 360, then the One. But there's really no peripheries these days. It's all, I guess, today's version looked like a futuristic bazooka. Nice. Okay, so it looked like the Super Scope 6, the Master Blaster. I got it. Yeah. Okay. So I think today's gimmicks, right, or something that you would say is a gimmick, is going to be something like what? It's going to be something, not rumble packs, because that's built in, but like, what do you think of the VR, virtual reality in gaming? Like, what is it, the Oculus? I know that PlayStation has their version, right? I've seen some streams, and I've seen some YouTube videos where people are like on the bridge of the Enterprise, or they're playing a zombie game, right, and looking around with their virtual reality headset on, and it looks like it would be a lot of fun to interact with the environment. Then you had the Nintendo Wii, which I did have, and that had the two, you could swing the remote or the controller like a bat, or a golf club, and then before they put the things that went around your wrist, and you'd kill your TV with it, launching it as a missile in your home. But that's like the last, I think mostly it's controllers these days. It's kind of gotten away from that. Shunts says, part of the reason for no light guns is because of flat screen TVs only work on CRTs. Really? I did not know that. So CRTs are curved, and they will only work with guns on a TV, or on that type of TV. Why is that? I don't understand the science. Explain science to me. I want to learn science things. That is interesting. I would have thought that if it's just a reflective surface, that would be all that matters. Maybe because flat screens aren't glass? Does that have something to do with it? It has to do with the surfaces that LCDs and LEDs and OLEDs are versus old school TVs? Inquiring minds want to know. Seems like you're in the know on this, my friend. And once again, welcome chat. Welcome everybody that's watching live on replay or even on YouTube. This is going to be posted on YouTube. Great to have you here. So you can't play old games like Time Crisis on a modern TV. Well, you can. It just look bad, right? Like there's ways to do it. But what I'm saying is, I thought that it had to do with the technology of the gun not working with something with the TV. But you're saying it's just because you can't play the game. That's what I'm getting at. Huh? Interesting. That's interesting. So let's, anybody else in chat, what is your favorite game? We can also move on to movies. What is everybody's favorite movie? What is your favorite, maybe it's your favorite TV show. What is it you enjoy doing? I'm trying to get to know those that I hang out with, that maybe watch the stream. You get to know me a little bit, I get to know you a little bit. Maybe this is your first time checking the stream out. Great to have you here, by all means. Would love to have you. Click that follow. That'd be very cool. So what happens is when you pulled the trigger, the TV used to flash up a special image that the gun could see, but a human can't. Modern TVs are too fast, so the guns don't see the image. Science. I did not know that. I did not know that the TVs flashed an image. I just thought that it was the gun bouncing off something off the TV back to it and it perceived it. That's interesting, man. I didn't know that about. Well, what do you know? That's really fun. So that's why there's less peripherals and there's just more getting into the nitty-gritty of making controllers $150, like the Xbox, what is it, the Elite? That Chuck is so great that he likes to brag about having. They just make what we have now better instead of all this other stuff. Interesting. Does anybody here in the chat, have you ever used virtual reality? Have you used Oculus? Have you used the PlayStation version of that? I can't remember the name of it offhand. Is it something that you've done? Interested to know. Because I've seen it, but every time I do see it, I'm like, oh, that seems like it could be fun. All right, good times. But then, I don't know, I forget, it seems forgettable. It seems like a hobby. It seems like something that a little better than a gimmick. I don't know. That's what I can't put my finger on. I guess if I knew somebody with it, it would make it better. I'd be like, I can make a more informed decision, right? Are my ears hearing me correctly? Am I detecting some ship of damned music under this beat? I don't know, man. I can't hear the beat right now. It's possible. I have copy. I don't know. It's just some DCMA free underneath, my friend. If so, that's awesome. And if so, it'll probably be muted. I don't know. That's funny. Yeah, so if anybody knows anything about VR, nobody's kind of piped up yet. So I guess that kind of proves my point. Nobody really has virtual reality. Nobody's really experienced it. You know, how do you get something like virtual reality in mainstream? I don't know that you do. Because the games require you to use a lot more energy, right? Because if you're gaming, typically you're sitting at a computer, typically you're sitting in front of your TV, you're seated, and you're just like, I'm just here to chill, and I'm going to play for whatever, the next 20 minutes, the next 10 hours, anywhere in between. I have my controller, blah, blah, blah. Whereas VR requires you usually standing and you're moving, and probably like after 10, 20, 30 minutes, you're pretty tired. Last thing you're really wanting to do is go in and another hour or two on that. Plus, I don't know how heavy that is on your head. But I do understand like bow hunting, different things. I don't know. It seems like for the sports stuff, or for the hunting stuff, doing it in real life seems like a better option. But then again, the one thing I keep going back to is seeing Star Trek, being on the bridge and people working together with their virtual reality. Pretty fun. So I guess let's move on to movies. What is everybody's favorite movie in chat? Talk me down, chat. What is your favorite movie? There you go. What is it? What do you like? What kind of genre? Mine, I will save. I'd like to get the chat. I'd like to get conversation with you all first. I'd like to get you all talking about what yours is before I give you mine. Because mine, I'm not sure you will have seen. That's okay, because it'll be a good recommendation. So, it could be a movie. It could also be a TV show. What is it that you all dig? What's something that you enjoy? What's something that's fun? And there's no judgment here. Okay, maybe a little judgment. If it's a really bad movie, I'm teasing. Completely teasing. But yeah, as far as your favorite movie, favorite TV show, Shunts is the first one to pipe up with The Road to Perdition. I seem to recall a conversation a while back about Road to Perdition. That's with Tom Hanks, if I'm not mistaken. He's a hitman in the 30s, gangster hitman, something like that. Why is it your favorite movie, Shunts? Inquiring minds want to know, why is it your favorite movie? This is your time to shine, my friend. The floor is yours. Why is it your favorite movie? I do remember it was excellently produced, directed really well. Not really Tom Hanks' normal kind of movie, though, if I recall correctly. Normally it's something else. Tom Hanks, you think big, Castaway, you think doesn't usually do a lot with guns. Right? Apollo 13, that kind of thing. Just called Wanda. I mean, there's just so many of Tom Hanks' movies you can point to. Mr. Rogers, whatever movie that was. But I think it was in the trailer. One of the things that I saw was his son was hiding in the trunk. He saw stuff. I think Shunts says, I think Hanks' performance was great, especially his on-screen relationship with the character's son. The soundtrack was outstanding. Okay, so you got a couple things going here. You got Hanks' performance was stellar. You felt like his relationship with the son, the character's relationship with the son was awesome. And then the soundtrack. I will say this. I find that the most movies that do really well are really well remembered, are beloved, go through generations, right? Star Wars, Back to the Future, Star Trek, are things that are not necessarily just one-dimensional, right? You're not going to have one person in one movie that did a great job acting and it lasts that long, but you're going to be like, you know what? Great acting, but also direction, but the character was great, but also soundtrack. So it sounds like, for you really hit that trifecta of soundtrack, which is pretty neato. And that not every movie does. I don't remember the soundtrack. What kind of soundtrack was that? Was it a lot of big band, or was it more modern? Can you describe what about maybe the music was great for you, but also what about the relationship with his son? Like, that he cared about his son? What is it that you really enjoyed, is my question to you. Because there's a lot of directions, there's a lot of things you can kind of take away on the surface from that, but it could be much more. You know what I'm saying? It could be much more. I'm just saying. In chat, does anybody else have any favorite movies? Anything else that you're enjoying, or that you've enjoyed watching? Because you have a lot of remakes these days too, right? Ugh. Remakes. Ugh. Total Recall. Without Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who's thinking this is a good idea? Come on. There's just some things you don't do, and Hollywood is definitely viewed as lazy. So the more that they do pull shenanigans like that, I swear to God, the next person that says shenanigans is gonna get pistol whipped. Hey, Farva, what's that restaurant with all the shit on the walls that, I don't know. Oh, you mean shenanigans? Oh, there's a Super Troopers quote for everybody. You're welcome. So there's that. So while Shuntz goes into, okay, so he says, I'm a big fan of Thomas Newman's soundtracks. He did Road to Perdition. Lots of strings for, okay, so like the orchestral. I gotcha. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I do get the orchestral. Absolutely, 100%. I'm feeling that. Because, and especially with that movie, it was kind of a slow burn a little bit. It was, it's not like The Expendables or something like that. So that's very cool. Definitely tracking. I get that. So what we're gonna do, man? Can you believe that almost 40 minutes for almost 50 minutes has transpired? So we're just gonna do a brief pause. I'm gonna let everybody take a little quick break. I'm gonna be right back, and we're gonna continue our discussion. So lock and load with your favorite movie, your favorite game, and your favorite TV show. There's more to go here shortly. We'll be right back, okay? We'll be right back. Oh my goodness, we are back and better than ever. I hope that everybody had a moment and ability to kind of recharge their batteries, maybe recharge any beverages, anything that you had going on. I gotta tell you, it's gotta happen. Just shameless plug for my channel. If you're not following, I hope you do. Here's a reason why I think it'd be good for you. I love that trailer. Oh my goodness. So you can see I like to play a lot of different games. Primarily I'm a gamer. Primarily that's what I stream. This just chatting here tonight is something that I don't normally do. And I'm honored to have everybody here that's checking this out. My friends and people that are lurking and popping in and out. Thank you so much for doing that. Taking the time out of your day. The way that we support one another I think is really cool. And that says a lot about our passion, right? This whole streaming thing has kind of grown on us is probably the best way to put it. A bunch of extroverts going, oh, this is fun. How do you make it look good, though? And that's been the challenge that I've had from a console, right? So Chuck the Ape, let's give Chuck a shout out. Because Chuck, man, he is, now Shunts, if you did a little bit more of, actually you don't broadcast at all. But let's do Chuck the Ape here. It's important that he gets a shout out. Because his channel, he will stream, he drives a truck for a day, and you can chat with him. He's one of those amicable people you can meet. On the seas, he will cut and slit your throat. So Shunts and I. But, you know, it's about community, right? That's why we're doing this. Community, not because we feel like we have to. We want to. This is a passion. And that's why there's Discord, right? And this is something, again, I'm new to, so bear with me. But there's my Discord. So for people that are interested in checking that out, and we can kind of build this community together of good peeps. That's what it's all about. So I wanted to tie a bow, and Shunts, we'll get to your comment here in just a moment, but I wanted to tie a bow on the favorite game discussion before we move on to movies and TV shows here. So the favorite game, definitely recently, nowadays, that I'm playing without a doubt, and I think Chuck and Shunts would agree, is Sea of Thieves. And it's great for a number of reasons. It's one of the most unique games you'll ever play because it looks beautiful. It's naval, right? So you're sailing. And yes, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed 4, but not really. It's first person, much better looking. The naval combat is what sets it apart from everything else. But you always have PvE, so player versus environment, versus PvP, player versus player. There's no other game that I'm aware of that's a thing, except, here's the exception, right? The exception is going to be the Division and the Division 2 and the Dark Zone. So with the Dark Zone, you would go in there and you could run into other players, but you'd run into other environments too, or the AI. But there's so much hacking and so much shenanigans going on that it just made it unplayable, right? Just terrible, just terrible, just terrible. So that's why it has a really, really horrible reputation about it, and that's why it's not been done a lot. I think there's something to be said for that. Okay, so let's jump back where we were. Some of the questions I was asking, is Marvel better than DC, or is DC better than Marvel? And Shunts was responding with, I'm not into DC or Marvel. However, a lot of my friends just started watching Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix, and they're loving it. It's a new superhero series. It's getting a lot of love online. Oh, man. Oh, I wish Shunts was here. Is Shunts here? I gotta text Shunts real quick, make sure. He knows that I'm back up, and I'm going to be responding to his his statement here shortly. Really, really quickly here. So again, if you've not seen Jupiter, so Jupiter, what is it? Jupiter's, what is it? Jupiter's. Yeah, Jupiter's Legacy. It's got Josh Duvall, and Josh Duvall played. Well, most people will know him from, he was a major, or was a captain, and he was a major, and then a colonel, and blah blah blah, and all the Transformers movies, right? So he was the Air Force guy that led the Air Force teams. Josh Duvall, one of the two. So good-looking dude, strong lead, all this good stuff. So I'm 4 out of 8 episodes into Jupiter. And I gotta tell you, I know it may be getting love online, but I've given up on it. I just gotta say, I'm giving up on Jupiter at this time. I know, it's not going anywhere. It's too slow a burn, and it's just weird and funky, and it's trying to make, here's the problem with it. It's directed and shot, and the art is kind of light and lively, but they're trying to make it dark, and the character and the acting's pretty good, but you can't, if you're gonna go dark with superhero movies and shows, you have to kind of do what Zack Snyder does, and you got to remove the color. What they're doing is they're trying to Joss Whedon the color aspect, make it very bright and make it very lively, when it's really not that great. When you look at what they're trying to do, and Zack Snyder kind of makes it more, desaturates it, right? Makes it a little bit more like that. And it's weird to see really, really old superheroes doing what they're doing. That's kind of funny. Not that they're really old, but I don't know. It just, the production's decent. I will give it that. The production is decent. The makeup, everything is decent, but it kind of makes you think that you're watching actors that have prosthetics on, and instead of, maybe it shouldn't be in 4K. Maybe it should be in just HD, and making you think less about those things, because you get that wrinkle doesn't look quite right. Oh, that's probably where the wig goes on, and like those are the things that I'm thinking about instead of like the story. Yeah, but after 4 episodes, in my opinion, it should be further along. I'm not willing to hang in there on the payoff, I guess is what I would say. I'm not willing to hang in there on the payoff for it. So, unfortunately, I have to say that Jupiter is a little bit beyond what I would say is a great show. But if anybody else in the chat watched it, anybody else seen it, anybody else been a part of it? If so, what is your opinion? Would love to hear it. Let's go back and forth if you have. Meanwhile, if somebody's typing, I'll acknowledge it. I'm always watching the chat window here. While that's going on, okay, you haven't seen it. Okay, Shunts is back. Right on. I don't know how much of my rant you caught, Shunts, but I was basically saying I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm like, I've kind of given up on it. So, but there's other movies that are going on. I'm more of a DC guy, so DC versus Marvel. Let's talk DC versus Marvel. You have the Marvel camp. So Shun said I had to move my mobile to loud. Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Great to see you. My stream completely putzed out because my Xbox decided to turn off. I'm gonna have to make sure that's addressed so I don't dump a stream. That's like so taboo. No. Streamer taboo. No. Number 1. Don't stop streaming accidentally. Oh my goodness, the editing I'm creating for myself for YouTube. I thought it'd be one simple download video. May upload it to YouTube, but that's not going to be the case. Oh my goodness. Said yes, I wasn't a fan of it. I know, right? I don't understand. And if other people like it, but that's also, I'd say, what is it? The Boys. It's probably a little darker and a little more like adult than I'm looking for in a superhero. And I think that genre. I think we're in the phase of, okay, we've seen superhero movies and shows out the wazoo now, so how do we take them in a direction we've not seen, right? Like Watchmen kind of direction, which was very disappointing. We're the dark side of superheroes and blah, blah, blah. I hear great things. People that watch The Boys really, really enjoy it, right? It's like the darker side. It's not exactly the softer side of Sears when it comes to watching shows. It's in superheroes. Instead of, they're a beacon of good, it's like, ugh, maybe not. So that's also that is also a faux show thing for sure. But this is great. I have to tell you, from a personal aspect and all technical difficulties aside, I'm enjoying this just chatting. Again, I'm not sure what this is going to turn into, if it even turns into anything. I do mostly stream games, and we'll chat during then, but I don't know. I'd like to think that, there's some community building that's done here, maybe, and we'll see. Like I said, we can always jump into parties with me and my friends if they ever want to, and we can talk back and forth rather than just me interfacing with the chat. Maybe there's other interesting people and streamers that are watching this right now, live or on YouTube, and you're interested in discussion and talking about different topics that might refer to gaming or movies or whatever. I'd be down for that, so I definitely want to make sure that is out there into the universe. We can definitely make that happen, which is a lot of fun. So my favorite movie. Has anybody here seen the movie City Slickers? 1991, Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, Jack Palance, and Bruno Kirby. City Slickers. They made 2 of them, actually. But just talking about the first one. Has anybody seen... And I'll type it in the chat here for everybody. City Slickers. Anybody seen that movie? This is my favorite movie of all time. And I might run down my top 3 here for you guys. I'm interested to know if that's a thing. Again, I'm not going to be... I'll be more surprised if somebody has seen this than not seen this. So, okay, Shunts says, although I've not seen it, after you mentioned it before, I purchased it. So, okay, wait a minute. So what I'm hearing you say is, and you're going to watch it soon, what you're saying is, because I recommended it, you went with a straight up purchase and not rent. Is that what I'm reading here? Is that a thingamabob doohickey? Because if so... Wow. Okay, I did. He says it. I am honored, sir, to have that kind of weight, to kind of have that kind of pull. So here's what's great about City Slickers. The friendship aspect is at the core. They're three friends. Two out of the three are married. The other one is single, about to get married. And it's about just life, right? And I know it's early 90s, so there's going to, it's dated a little bit, but the aspect's not anything different. It also wasn't much more to buy over renting. Yeah, I do that too. So what happens is Mitch needs a break, right? He's burnt out at his job. He's just going through the motions. And his friends, for his birthday, get him a 2-week vacation to cattle rustle from New Mexico to, I forget where. Maybe they go to Texas or something like that. And so they're going on this vacation together, this adventure together, and it's all about what happens on this adventure. So you get like City Slickers, and that's where they get the name from, going to these, trying to be cowboys and cattle rustle, and everything that ensues, and the friendships at the core and what they work through there, the humor. You're going to bust out loud laughing. The humor's great. And then the cinematography, right? Like, just everything, the way it's shot. There's some really beautiful moments in the movie where you're like, okay, where is this? Because I need to go see this with my own eyes. Kind of like when I look at Scotland, Shunts, or I look at UK, Chuck, and I see parts of it. I'm like, I've got to make it there, man. I've got to see Stonehenge. I got to see these castles. I got to see, the Highlands. I've got to see where Loch Ness is. Like all these things, right? Like you see these other parts where, but the U.S. is so big, and so to be able to make it. So City Slickers, for that reason, I think is really, really enjoyable. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just a really fun watch, and you can watch it over and over. My number 2 favorite of all time is Austin Powers, right? Who does not like Austin Powers? Now here's where the stream gets really fun, because I can do Austin Powers, baby, yeah. Oh, behave. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Danger's my middle name. Yeah. So much fun. So, I'm the boss man. I need the info, okay? When I ask for sharks, I need frickin' laser beams, okay? So good. Fat Bastard and Austin Powers 2, right? Oh, look at this one. Hey, I eat because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I eat. It's a vicious cycle. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get in touch with someone. Myself? So much fun, the Austin Powers movies. But the Austin Powers 1 did not do well. And again, pipe up in the chat anytime. I'm just kind of chatting here, guys. But what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite video game? We can launch off. Again, I want to make it about you. But yeah, it just is one of those movies where it didn't do well, but then it came out on DVD. It's kind of like Family Guy. It didn't do well, but then it came out on DVD, and then did really, really well, and just became this cult classic and super huge cultural smash hit, right? Yeah. Shunts says, I absolutely love the Austin Powers films. Even watching them back nowadays, it's still funny. Now, I agree. The one caveat I have, and as there's no bigger Austin Powers fan than probably me, the one caveat I have, you say some jokes haven't aged well, but that's not unusual. Well, for touchy-feely Scotland, I guess I can see that. Love you, mean it. So, Austin Powers 3, they just tried to do too much. So, they reused a lot of the jokes in Austin Powers 2. And it's like, okay, still funny. Roger, with you, got it. Tracking. But then Austin Powers 3, they reused the same jokes again, right? And you're like, oh, again? And then, Gold Member, and it just, they tried to smush too much plot. It was like 2 movies in one. It's like they X-Men 3'd it. Right? They just shot it, took it out back and shot it. It just shouldn't have been made. Tom Cruise is at the beginning. The charm of the first Austin Powers was the simplicity. It was so simple. There wasn't anything that was like overdone about it, right? It was just like super simple, kind of small budget. You kind of felt that a little. But it was just silly, and it was just kind of fun. And then the second one, you could definitely tell, okay, more budget. All right, it's a little, it's definitely better, more refined, okay. But then the third one, it just was too much. So that's why I think the Austin Powers original one is still my favorite. And Elizabeth Hurley, that did not hurt the movie. That did not hurt the movie. And I think Mike Myers said that he was writing that part for her. He wanted her to play that character and envision her the whole time, right? So that's fun. And then the third movie, I don't know if anybody, my third favorite movie, I won't go any past this because, we need something to talk about later, is Major League. Has anybody seen Major League? Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, Corbin Bernstein, or Bernson, forget which. Willie Mays Hayes was played by, I'm blinking, the original Blade. I can see it. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes is in it. There's so many great. It's a baseball movie about the Cleveland Indians, and it's outstanding. Major League is fantastic. It's an 80s movie. So those are my favorite that I can think to mention. What about you guys? What are some of your favorite movies? Shunts has said Road to Perdition. I see some other folks in the chat. Anybody else that wants to be a participation or wants to participate, you're welcome to. I don't want this again to be all about me. I'm happy to talk about you. What's your favorite game? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite TV show? Whatever is kind of tickling your fancy in these regards, we're happy to kind of do that. Shunts asks, where do you stand on Wall Street 1987? I don't know that I've ever seen it. Dude, that's like one of the classic 80s movies, and I'm ashamed to say I know who's in it. I know Charlie Sheen's in it, but I don't know that Michael Douglas is in it. Ooh, that reminds me. Another great 80s movie with Michael Douglas, Romancing the Stone. Have you ever seen Romancing the Stone? Kathleen Turner, when she was young and hot. I guess I should add that in. And you know who else is in it? The guy that was the bad guy in The Three Amigos. He's in the movie. It's just like a random part, but he's in that as well. Romancing the Stone. Danny DeVito. Yeah. Oh, Shunts. Okay, so that's a date night movie. I'm calling it right now, bro. That's a date night movie, Romancing the Stone. If you don't like it, I will PayPal you money. I will send you an Xbox Live gift. Romancing the Stone is great, man. It is fabulous. You can't not like the movie. It is unbelievably great. Man, when was the last time I thought about romancing? How do we even get on that one? Wow. Oh, Michael Douglas. That's right. That's funny. So for sure, that's good times. Anybody else? So, what would you say is your second favorite movie, Shunts? If you had to go with number 2, numero dos, what's your second favorite movie? Or Ape, if you're still here, or anybody else. What's your first or second favorite movie, or what rounds out your top 3? I'm interested. Watching the trailer for Romancing the Stone now. Yes, so good. Now, Jewel of the Nile is the sequel, and it's not as good, but it's still like worth a watch. It's like very entertaining, but beyond that, it's not purchase. Romancing is definitely purchase, or definitely rent for sure. The problem with trailers from the 80s is they're hit or miss. They can be really good, or they can be like a scene. Zero effort was put in to selling the movie, selling you on it. It's just a scene. And you're supposed to divine, should I watch this based on this scene? Oh my goodness. Shunts says, I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Two Towers is my favorite from the trilogy. Takes second place for favorite movies. Two Towers. So the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Interesting you bring this up, because I have a really... this is one of my fondest memories in movie history since I've been alive, right? So when you have the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you have a few trilogies that are being made during this time. right? So you have the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and you know that they're coming out every year, every Christmas they came out, and that was like a super exciting time. The other trilogy that was happening was the Matrix trilogy. So you had Matrix 1, 2, and 3 coming out during that same time. And then if that wasn't enough, you had the Star Wars trilogy coming out. 1, 2, and 3. Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, and I forget what the third one's called, but it was actually my favorite of the three. Not that they're great movies, but anyways. So like you had this enormous like bubble between 97 and 03 of just like expectation, like jumping through your skin excited to wait for these to come out. And the Lord of the Rings definitely did not disappoint because they used a new program called Shake. I remember I worked at an Apple store during this time and my friend was explaining Shake to me. Shake was the application that they could use to duplicate all the armies, right? So you take an orc and then you duplicate them, whatever, 1,000 times, but you're able to give each orc individual like little tweak, little movement, so it didn't like they're all marching, at the same cadence and it looked believable. So that was really, really fun about that. I remember that for sure. So Shunt says, once I buy my 4K TV, I'll be buying the new 4K remaster of it. And then, oh dear, Matrix 3, we don't speak about that film. Yeah, 3 was terrible. 4 is coming out later this year, though. 4 is coming out in December. Maybe they can undo. They can erase. And I liked Reloaded. I love Reloaded. I don't care what anybody says. Reloaded's amazing. It's fabulous. So, that's for sure. That's for sure my take on that. The first one's great. But the 4K TV, so here's my recommendation when it comes to if you're going to purchase media. And if you're buying things on iTunes, I have good news for you. All you need is a 4K Apple TV, and then anything that you've purchased in HD on iTunes, in the iTunes store, if it is in 4K, it'll automatically upgrade. There's none of this, oh, I got to buy a Blu-ray 4K edition versus Blu-ray HD. Like iTunes products, movies, if they're in 4K and HDR, automatically upgrade. They automatically play in 4K. You don't need to spend any more money, which is awesome. If Apple has done anything great, because think about it, we've been alive when DVD came out. We're like, oh my god, DVD is the greatest, and DVD was the greatest. And I maintain that the original DVD menus for movies were some of the most inventive and creative menus of anything. Everybody's gotten lazy since then. I think Angry Video Game Nerd has done a really good job of going and delving into some of these older menus, and they're just so fun and so great. Blu-ray, they got lazy. So, DVD. Then you're like, oh, okay, now I have to choose between HD DVD and Blu-ray, because there was the competition between the formats. I had an Xbox 360, and I chose damn poorly. I went with the HD DVD add-on, and I bought the HD DVD movies. And it didn't win, because Michael Bay was like, I'm not going to put Transformers out unless it's on Blu-ray. And that's when the industry was like, okay, Blu-ray it is. So then, okay, gotta buy Blu-ray. Then so that's HD taken care of. And then 4K comes out, and it's like, okay, what do you buy? So you have all these things. You have upgrade. And you're buying the same movie like 3-4 times, which is crazy. So I made the decision a while back. I was going to buy things on iTunes, and that's proved to be a good decision, a prudent decision, for that reason, right? So things automatically upgrade to 4K HDR, and that's awesome. You don't have to pay anymore. It's just, and when you think about it, they're just compressing it differently. The movie industry, it's quite the racket. So I don't know that the music industry has anything quite like the movie industry's had, because when you purchase the disc, you don't actually own the movie. You own the disc, but you're renting the rights to watch it. Like, you don't own the movie. That's why it was always illegal to rip a movie from a DVD or a Blu-ray. It was illegal to do that for that reason. When I worked at an Apple store, I learned up a lot of that stuff because of the legality. Right, it was kind of crazy for that reason. So, anyways, yeah, we kind of covered the bases tonight. A lot of great gaming discussion. Any other kind of closing comments, chat, for any gaming or for any movies, anything that you want to chat about, anything like that. It could be on a different topic too. Is there anything that you would like to see? Give me your. I'd actually like to learn people's feedback right now on this chat, this just chatting, not actually gaming. Would you like to see this again? Is my first question, and then my second question is, would you like this to be a monthly thing, a weekly thing, every 2 weeks thing? Are you enjoying this interaction? Kind of give me. I would love to get your feedback. So whether you do that now or whether you join the Discord and give me your feedback. Oh, what's my Discord, you ask? Boom. Funny you should ask. I just happened to produce it. So Shen says, I like the chatting. I watch a fair amount of just chatting. We just need to build the audience. Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing, right? Is that's the purpose of this, is to kind of reach new people. Instead of just always gaming, and I know that I don't have a camera, but we're just trying to have fun here and be very engaging. And I think that you can still make it. I'm a big believer in that you can do that. So I think that if I was to roll in with topics, I think that'd be fun. What would you add, Shunts? What's the constructive thing that you would like to add? Great to know. And I saw this overlay and I thought it was kind of fun, and I added my my icon in there, my emote. You might want to explore marbles on stream. Lots of streamers run it just doing chatting sessions, get a lot more people. Yeah, so I actually have marbles, but I have a Mac. I don't have a PC. That's the problem. So we need to come up with maybe a solution to that. I understand. Yeah, but again, just trying to break in, and we'll build one by one. Great to have people that are in the audience, and great if you're watching this on replay or on YouTube. Grateful to have you, and if you're not following, would love to have you to follow. We have a lot of fun here. We do a lot of gaming. Shunts is one of my gaming peeps, so is Chuck. We do a lot of Sea of Thieves. We do a lot of not a lot, but we do some Warzone. I do more Warzone, but do retro gaming. Lots of things going on here, which is really cool. Trying to make it a fun experience, not a lot of room to catch your breath. Try to make it something that people want to watch, right? Because you're not just streaming, you're broadcasting when you're on, and we know that. So I appreciate the feedback, and you have my Discord. So if you want to go ahead and give me feedback there, that would be awesome too. And look forward to interacting with you all on my Discord as well. Again, I'm brand new to Discord, so I'm still learning the ropes and trying to build a community, right? And we got a good core group of people here. Thank you for those core group of people being here, I should add.